Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Finolex Industries Limited Q4 FY21 earnings conference call hosted by Investec Capital Services India Private Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Ritesh Shah. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Shah.
Thank you, Nirav. It's a pleasure to host Finolex management today for Q4 conference call. We have with us Mr. Sanjay Matt, Managing Director, and Mr. Anil Wabi, Director of Finance and CFO. I'll request Mr. Matt and Mr. Wabi for initial remarks, post which we'll have a Q&A session. Over to you, Matt sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ritesh. Good morning, all ladies and gentlemen. I heartily welcome you on behalf of Finolex Industries Limited to this investor conference call. Hope you all are safe and thank you for your continued interest in Finolex Industries. We are happy to talk about the fourth quarter results for the year 2021. Finolex Industries ends the year of 21 on a historic high, surpassing performance of previous years. During this quarter, higher volumes on the resin front and better realizations have resulted in the highest ever revenue and net profit for annual as well as for this quarterly basis. There has been outstanding improvement in all our operating parameters. To give you some performance indicators for Q4 of this financial year 2021. So the highlights for this quarter, total income from operations was rupees 1,249 crores, up 62.5% against rupees 767 crores in quarter 4 last year. EBITDA margin has stood at rupees 424 crore in this quarter, up by 305% against rupees 105 crores in the quarter 4 of last year. Profit after tax is at rupees 297 crores for this quarter, up by 433% against rupees 56 crores in the quarter 4 last year. So you can see the performance in quarter 4 has been exceptionally high. I will give you the highlights for the entire year 2021. The total income from operations is rupees 3,463 crores in the year 21, up by 16% against rupees 2,984 crores in last year FY 2020. EBITDA margin has stood 1,062 crores in this year, up by 122% against rupees 478 crores last year. Profit after tax is at rupees 728 crores for the year 2021, up by 124% against rupees 324 crore for financial year last year. So during the year, the company generated rupees 940 crores of cash from the operations. Now getting to the segmental performance, EBIT margin in the resin segment was 328 crores in this quarter, up by 947% last year. And EBIT margin in pipes and fittings segment is 69.5 crores, up by 11% last year. So we continue to be a net debt-free company with a net cash surplus of rupees 825 crores as at 31st March 2021. And with these numbers, I leave it to you for questions. I am accompanied by my colleagues from the finance department, our CFO and Director of Finance, Mr. Anil Wabi, and Mr. Neeraj Kedia, is also accompanying him. So any financial questions they will answer. So I will leave this session open to questions for the floor. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, you may press star and one to ask the question. The first question is from the line of Ritesh Shah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just start with the question. Still, we have a question queue. Sir, my first question is, first, congratulations on a good set of numbers. My first question is, given we have a sizable quantum of cash on books, how should one look at, one is the capacities right now, the capacity expansion plans over next 3 years? And secondly, do we have any stated dividend payout policy in place? That's the first question, and we'll open up the queue process. Thanks.
Well, I'll talk about capacity. At present, our capacity is 370,000 tons on the pipes and about 28,000 tons on fittings. We are quite well covered for the next 2 to 3 years in terms of our volumes that we will be selling in the market. I think this year there is some contraction which we have seen already. The capacity utilization has remained low because of that contraction. So there is excess capacity at present available, and there is nothing like we are falling short of capacity. But as the market really grows up and we have signs of getting up, I think we are definitely going into capacity expansion. On the front of dividend, I think Wabiji, can you give an answer on this dividend?
Ritesh, if you have noticed, normally our payout ratio is somewhere between 40 to 50%. And this year we have proposed a 100% normal dividend and 100% special dividend. And if that is agreed, then the dividend payout ratio will be about 34% for this year.
Sure. That helps. I'll join back the queue. Nirav, over to you, please.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Mr. Mutt, Mr. Wabi, congratulations on a great set of numbers. Sir, just wanted to understand from you, April and May have been quite impacted because of COVID 2.0. So how has been the agri demand there, and what is our outlook in terms of piping demand going forward? And in the same breath, if you can help us understand what is the agri, non-agri mix, and how do you see that going forward? That would be helpful, sir.
As you know, that from March end itself, there is a second wave of COVID. And April, most of the states went into lockdown. I think out of, in India, somewhere around 22 states were in lockdown. So the demand for resin as well as for the pipes has definitely contracted and got affected. So this quarter, there may be a very big setback on the agri pipes. Whereas we are able to continue non-agri demand little better than the agri setback. Going ahead, I think the numbers of the COVID cases are decreasing, and there is quite a bit of unlocking that is happening in most of the states, except the southern states, where the numbers are still high, particularly Maharashtra, Andhra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. These are the 5 states which are affected more, and that is where the unlocking is still restricted. Whereas in the northern part as well as on the eastern part, I think the unlocking is done already. So the growth should start. I think we see that the normal growth should be coming up in the next quarter. So hopefully if there is no third wave, the conditions will be better. In terms of agri and non-agri mix, I think our non-agri growth has been better than the agri. Agri has been contracting almost all over. In quarter one, it contracted by 42%. Then quarter two, it was little better. Quarter three was better for agri, 4.5%, but again, quarter four, we have seen a contraction of minus 14%. Whereas non-agri has been doing quite better. If we look at that quarter one last year, we had minus 50% in non-agri also because there was no construction going on. But later on, it has picked up. And if we look at quarter 2, 3, 4 together, there was a growth of 10%. Quarter 3 and 4, it was 13%. And quarter 4 itself is about 22%. Now, this momentum of non-agri is definitely what is seen as which should be continued if there is an unlocking. And agri will depend mostly on the monsoon effect. Presently now monsoon has already set in and almost 3/4 of the country is covered by monsoon. So possibly agri demand has not picked up and it may remain subdued at the monsoon level. Whereas non-agri, we are hopeful that it will definitely pick up.
Sure, sir. That's very helpful. Sir, just two follow-ups on that. If you can help us understand, while you gave us a texture, if you can help us understand where are we vis-a-vis last year, that would be very helpful. Only in some qualitative measures. So last year, I think our total growth was impacted to the extent of almost 40%. So do we expect Q1 to be similar or just trying to get some color on that?
Aditya, yes, Q1 will suffer because all 3 months there has been a setback in this quarter. So right. Slowly as the market picks up, but with this onset of monsoon, agri is not likely to see the volumes that we should have seen. So obviously there is impact in Q1.
Understood, sir. So that's very helpful. My second question is in terms of our margins, more so with our raisin margins, right? I mean, on a steady state basis, our raisin margins have been close to about 11, 12, 13,000 rupees per ton. And that number has increased meaningfully over the last 3 or 4 quarters. Obviously, there has been some tailwind because of rising cost of inputs. But if you can help us try and get some understanding on how do you see this going forward, either in terms of EBIT per ton or in terms of margin, then it would be very helpful.
See, Aditya, in case of resin, there's a volatility which plays its role.
Correct.
Last year we did exceedingly well because the PVC prices moved up very sharply and they have been at a historic high for some time. So, because of which the EBIT margin per ton also was much better. As the prices normalize, I suppose that then again it will move towards the normal levels of EBIT. But how long this will take, we do not know.
Sure, sir. Just to ask that question slightly differently, on a steady state basis, do we expect a 17-18% EBIT margin on our PVC resin?
Aditya, it's very difficult to say. See, each part of this has a different dynamics. PVC moves in a different direction than the inputs, EDC, ethylene, VCM can move in different directions. So it's difficult to say that steady state will be this. But right. You are right, somewhere around 15 has been our historic average.
Understood. That's very helpful. Thank you so much and best of luck for the quarters to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sonali from Jefferies India. Please go ahead.
So thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on a great set of numbers. So my first question is, could you help us with the PVC to EDC spread in Q4 as well as FY21 as a whole, please?
Yeah, sure, Sonali.
In QVC to EDC spread for Q4 is 877.
And what was it in Q4 FY20?
It was 574.
Sir, and what is it currently as we speak right now?
Currently, at present, it is about 715 or so.
715. All right. So my second question is regarding the pipes EBIT margin in Q4 FY21. Now, all your metrics have been outstanding in Q4, but there is a slight dip in the pipes EBIT margin. Now, if we are saying that our plumbing mix is advancing or garnering higher demand than our agri mix, how should we look at the EBIT margin and the reason for the contraction in the same?
Sonali, I think you are comparing on Q basis. If you look at YOY basis, it has improved.
So for Q4?
Yes, in Q4 also on YOY basis, it has improved.
Okay. So I'll get back to this because YOY, so wasn't it 9.9% in Q4 FY20, the PVC pipes?
I'm saying on EBIT per ton.
Okay, got it. So my third question is, if we could, just broadly give about our strategic view on our evolving plumbing mix versus our agri mix. So currently, I think we are 70% in agri. For the past 2 quarters, we have been speaking about, foraying more into plumbing. So any kind of update or the kind of distribution we have enhanced for that would be quite helpful.
Sonali, if you see in 18-19, this in terms of value, the ratio was 70-30. Now, FY21 we have ended, the ratio is 63-37.
Okay. 63-37 this year. Great, sir. And, any color on any updates in terms of how much we have evolved, in what regions we are boosting our non-agri, in what categories, etc.?
No, we are trying to address in all the regions. So it will take time, yeah.
Sure. So my last question is for CPVC volumes and revenue in FY21 versus FY20.
Mm-hmm. See, FY21 volume was 9,635 tons.
So versus FY20?
FY20 was 9,299. 99.
Okay. So and revenue?
Revenue is FY21 is 297 crores.
Okay.
And
FY20 revenue?
290 crores.
Sure. So and just one last question regarding our vision. Where do we expect our non-agri mix to go, say, over the next 5 years?
The growth is seen to be more in non-agri compared to agri. So our mix has to be changing continuously. I think how fast we can get into more non-agri is the question. This ratio will definitely be improving. Now, as Wabiji said, on the revenue basis, it is at present 63-37. So crossing 60-40 is the next target that we are looking at. That is on revenue side.
Got it, sir. So and what about our retail touch points?
Continues to be more than 21,000.
Sure. So any indication how much we have added in FY21?
No, I don't have that number.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chirag from HDFC Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning and congratulations for a fantastic quarter and year as well.
Good morning. Thank you, Chirag.
I have a few questions. So one, if you could tell us for the fourth quarter and for FY21, the prices for PVC, EDC, ethylene and VCM?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we can give you the fourth quarter PVC prices, 1483 for PVC.
Yes.
EDC 605, ethylene 963, and VCM is 1152.
1152.
1152.
Yeah.
PVC EDC delta 877, and PVC to VCM delta 331.
And for the full year?
For the full year,
PVC was 1094.
PVC is 1094, EDC is 384, ethylene 768, PCM 835, PVC EDC 711, and PVC VCM 260.
And would you have it for the fourth quarter of 20 as well?
Yes, take the PVC 883, EDC 308, ethylene 688, PCM 758, PC EDC 574, PC VCM 125.
Perfect. So the second question was in terms of profitability. You mentioned the average for PBIT per ton when you look at PVC resin. Actually, over the last 5 years, if you were to exclude FY21, has been closer to 12,000, not closer to 15,000. In fact, the peak has been 15,000 in FY17. So where do you think this is? I know this is a very volatile segment and these prices can change very substantially. But if you could help us understand both in the resin business as well as in the pipe business, what do you think are sustainable margins?
Chirag, for PVC resin segment, as you know, it's difficult to state. And you are right, historic average has been around 15. So hopefully in coming years also it should remain so, but it is difficult to say because you do not know what way the prices will move in each quarter. But if you see it for the year, it averages out to around that figure.
Mr. Vabi, but the average for the last 5 years, excluding FY21, has been actually 11,500 or 12,000.
Yes, but after that, if you see, you are aware that the duties were raised on PVC resin. So after that, it has inched up. From 12, it has moved closer to 15.
Right.
So, but pipe segment is relatively stable. So there, you know that the margins have improved on an average from 8 rupees a kg, which we had few years back. It has gone up to 10 and beyond.
And do you think that level of 10 is sustainable?
We hope it would.
And why has it moved up in pipes? In resin, we understand because of commodity price movement. In pipes, why has it moved up? Is it?
No, it is because of higher focus, as we discussed just a little while back, in higher growth in non-agri. It does help. Fittings volume growth does help. More CPVC business. So all these things coupled together has helped.
And lastly, what were the inventory gains for the full year in either of the segments, if any?
It is difficult to state, but in our case, inventory gains may not be high, because in pipe segment, we do not carry large inventory of PVC resin.
Fair enough. And the last question from my side was, what is the capex for this year?
For FY21?
For FY22.
FY22, about 100 crores. Right now, as Mr. Matt also mentioned, right now the expansion on pipe side has not been taken into consideration. So normal replacement and these investments will be there. So about 100 crores.
Okay, great.
But moment we see signs of improvement, we will go for expansion.
Sure. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Chirag.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Praveen Sahai from Edelweiss Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for taking my question and many congratulations on a great set of numbers. So, sir, my question is on the the degrowth in the volume. So, definitely the agri has not done so well. So, my question is, how much is this volume degrowth is driven by the price? Because the prices has sort of significantly, and definitely there is a one part is the lockdown and the COVID. So how much of this is you treat as the prices gone up, and that's why there is a restriction from the buying?
Praveen, this is actually difficult to state. Both the factors have played their role, the prices as well as the disruptions, pandemic disruptions. So both have played their role. But it is difficult to pinpoint how much would it be for one.
Mm-hmm. So, and on the pricing, as we know that the PVC resin prices goes to $16-17 per metric ton, now come down to some 13.50 or so. So, where you see this stabilization to go, like because the economies or opening factories are opening in the Western world. So,
I think we are looking at various reports coming from ICIS or IHS. I think this year there will be some softening coming up, but it is not going to be at the level of the normal long-term average of 1,000 to 1,050. I think it will stabilize somewhere about 1,200 to 1,300. That is what is the prediction given by the ICIS. So PVC prices will be remaining about 20 to 25% higher than the long-term average. What is the prediction?
Any specific reason for this prediction, sir? Or you are looking at some dynamics changing in the global world?
I think it all depends upon, still there is a contraction in all over the world. I think the COVID waves have not receded. I think many countries are still under partial lockdowns. So inter-region trades are in problem, and most of the integrated producers are producing to the level of intra-region trades. So there are some of the issues which are there on the trade side. Freight rates have gone up, container rates have gone up, so that is one part which is also affecting the overall pricing of CFR level. And there are people who are taking up some of the long-term shutdowns, taking the advantage of this COVID situation. So there is a little bit of imbalance between supply and demand. Although the supply-demand imbalance is not so much that it will be disproportionately this price hike is supported. At the same time, there is some shortage on supply side than the demand side.
Mm-hmm. So you expect this spread of PVC EDC also to be in the range of around $700?
That we cannot say, because you see all the inputs are slowly adjusting to the final PVC price. For example, EDC has also moved up last year. VCM also has been moving up. VCM is today also, if you see, VCM is about $1,100. So it is not like, the long-term average for VCM is about 700, 750. When PVC is about 900, 950, okay? So as PVC moves, the VCM also moves, and then EDC also moves up. So producers individually will be correcting themselves in terms of the input prices. So what is important for us is not that, it is the importance is the margins between the PVC EDC delta and VCM PVC delta.
Right. The next question is, sir, related to the CPVC. So how much of the volume you are targeting to go in this business? Because this 9,906 metric ton you are doing. So how much can...
I think last quarter, in quarter 4, we have done 3,692, about 3,700 tons. If we see that kind of a momentum maintaining, we'll cross 14,000 tons, So, but that is our hope, that we continue to operate on that range. Unfortunately, Q1 has given us a setback because of the pandemic, and the activities have been stalled. But that is what we can see, that there is a continuous growth in CPVC. Q4 total growth was about 42%. Q2, Q3, Q4 total growth was 25%. And Q4 itself is 67% over the last year. So you can see that the growth has been from 25 to 40 to 60% in these last 3-quarter season. Q1 being very low because we did not have any business in Q1 last year, and that is where it was minus 62% in Q1. And so the overall year we have grown just hardly about 3.6%. But momentum we can see.
You have a capacity to go above, right? You have a capacity to go up in this segment.
We have a capacity to go up, yes.
So any numbers
Sorry to
can you
interrupt
put in?
you. I'll request you to come back in the question queue.
Yeah, sure.
No.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pranav Tendulkar from Rare Enterprises. Please go ahead.
Hi. Sorry to miss this if it was already revealed. But sir, can you just tell us what was the volume growth and pricing growth in two categories, that is agri and non-agri? Is that possible in terms of say tonnage?
Volume growth.
That number is not right now available.
Okay. Okay. So that is one. Sir, also what I have noticed is that your working capital is much better than other players. And so is there a different business strategy than other players that you think is beneficial for you?
No, we have been following cash and carry model for a very long period.
Correct. I know that. So I'm just asking that is that beneficial in the sense if you just provide some working capital, will not that be helping our volumes to go?
So earlier, if you look 3 years back, its entire business was on cash and carry basis.
Correct.
But then of late, we have started providing credit in non-agri part of the business.
Okay. Perfect. Sir, over last 1 year, I agree that there was some pent-up demand, but do you see any structural changes in the demands that have also contributed to increase in volume? So something like home building going up or something like infrastructure going up or any structural changes that you see that will sustain over next 1 year?
No, see this of course because of pandemic this also has been affected. But if you look at the medium term, we are sure that because of large unmet demand in housing, the activity will pick up and there will be volume growth in agri pipes in irrigation. Past few years have not seen the growth that it should have. So there also with all these government initiatives and the change in farm practices, we should see growth. But we see that in housing, the growth will be better. That's what we feel.
Okay. Perfect, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rajesh Sarvi from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, sir. This is Rajesh Sarvi here. So congratulations on great set of numbers. I have few queries. First is in terms of the pricing trend that we are seeing currently, across agri and non-agri pipes. What sort of price increase we have seen in first quarter?
See, prices, as PVC prices move down, obviously the pipe prices also have come down in tandem. So, So PVC prices have corrected by about 20% in the international market, and the prices are correcting in India as well.
Okay. And in terms of the retention level, do you see that sustaining too, or the price the cost pass through, which the cooling off of the PVC prices, is that is the PVC pipes price impact is higher? How is the scenario?
No. When the volumes are low, obviously in the falling prices situation, there will be complete pass through to gain some traction in the volumes.
Okay. And how is in the non-agri portfolio, sir?
Both.
No, because there the demand is, as you said that we are seeing good demand, and even I assume the industries.
But historically also, the pipe, PVC price movements have been passed on into the market completely.
Right.
So that is what is happening now also.
Mm-hmm. And if I see 4Q versus 3Q, your realization, like for your pipes and fitting realization increased by 20 rupee a kg versus third quarter. And if I see even the resin realization from 102 rupees to 122 rupees. So there has been a similar increase in both the resins as well as the pipes realization.
Yes.
However, at margin level play, there is from 16 rupee a kg, you realize EBIT margin has come down to almost 11.5 rupees. There is a 5 rupee contraction.
Yeah,
So
but you are looking at Q3 only. If you look at Q2 or earlier quarters, it was around 11 rupees. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I agree. So I'm saying the Q3 was having some exceptional gains, which is getting.
It was basically because of some lower costs, and there have been some provisions in the Q4 which have increased the cost.
Okay.
So it is the effect of that.
Okay. And lastly, in terms of now with the PVC prices coming down and that getting passed through, what sort of recovery you are looking in the agri demand?
See, Q1 is almost lost because of the pandemic disruption and the monsoon season, So Q2, there is hardly any volume in the agri. So hopefully from Q3 onwards, if the situation is normal, we should see pickup in agri pipes.
Thank you very much. Sorry to interrupt you. I'll request you to come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The next question is from the line of Tarang Agarwal from Old Bridge Capital Management. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good morning. Just a question on the non-agri front. Sir, if you could give some flavor on what's really any geographical location or what industry segment has driven volumes in FY21 and some peek into what is driving your, bullishness on the specific areas in the non-agri business for the year to come by.
In non-agri business, we are doing all across India, and it's not specifically that any region has been shown an extra growth over the last year. I think our distribution in geographical terms has remained almost same in non-agri. The growth has been in retail rather than on the institutional sale. So we by increasing the touch points from 18,000 to 21,000, I think it has now started showing results on our non-agri growth in retail.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Achal Lohade from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations for the great set of numbers, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. My first question is in terms of the geographical mix. If you could, at the aggregate level for us, how much would be south and west and north and east, if you could highlight for FY21, sir?
See, traditionally we have been strong in west and south, which account for almost 75% of our business.
Right. Okay. Would it be possible to give a breakup, like 40, 35, 50?
No, I don't have those numbers.
Okay, no problem, sir. Secondly, in terms of the what we hear is that some of the agri pipes also go into plumbing. So
yes, you are right.
Is it the case with us as well? So is there any guesstimate here? How much of that is already do you consider that as part of agri or non-agri?
See, what we produce is we consider for agri, but you are right. Some of it does go for applications in housing as well, especially in states like Punjab or elsewhere, or many cases in south as well. So some part of it does go into other application.
Right. And any benefit of this Jal Jeevan Mission of the government, in terms of in terms of projects or in terms of retail sales, in your opinion, given our distribution reach in the rural?
See, it has just started, so there will be volumes in the coming years. Yes.
Understood. And just one data point, sir, if you could help us with the fittings volume and revenue for FY 2021.
Fittings volume for FY21 is 20,054.
And for FY20?
Same number, 20,666. This is because in Q1 we had a big setback, whereas later on I think there has been an improvement in fittings.
Understood. And how much of that would be CPVC now in both the years?
CPVC separately on fittings we have not got the number. CPVC by itself we have given the number, no?
Yeah. Sure. And just last question, if I may, sir. With respect to, given the high prices, we hear that, farmers have postponed the demand. But the question here is that, is that the demand lost forever? Will that come back in a big way in the next year? And what is the typical replacement cycle in case of agri pipes?
I think agri pipes is also a durable item. The life of the agri pipe is about 25 years, so it is not necessarily that it is to be done when the high prices are there. So when the price correction is seen, definitely the demand has to come back. The irrigation demand, in India it is only about 40% of the land is irrigated and 60% is still rain-fed. So there is a lot of land yet to be irrigated. So agri demand has to be there for years to come. I think we are not really worried about demand not going to be there. It may be a temporary phase because of the higher price possibly, or because of the pandemic. People have postponed that decision. But it doesn't mean that it will not come back when the pandemic is over and the prices are almost, getting corrected to the long-term average.
Understood. Thank you so much, sir. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chirag from HDFC Asset Management. Please go ahead.
So just a quick data point. If you could tell us the PVC, EDC, ethylene and VCM prices for last year, FY20, and the current prices as well.
Yeah, I will give you. Last year PVC was 884 average. EDC 324, ethylene 774, VCM 738, PVC EDC delta 559, and PVC VCM delta 146. This is FY20. Yes. I think you have the FY21 numbers.
Yes, we have the FY21 and just the current prices as well, sir.
Current prices are somewhere around PVC 1380, EDC 665, ethylene 835, VCM 1055, EDC delta 715, and VCM PVC VCM delta 325.
Perfect, sir.
This is as of 24th. I am not talking about today's data. Okay.
Sure. Fair enough. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kashyap Pujara from Telm Partners. Please go ahead.
Hi, and congratulations for a good set of numbers, and thanks for the opportunity to ask a question. I just had one question on the capex front. While you mentioned the capex is only 100 crores, I just wanted to check the broader view of the management, given that we have made landmark profits on the PVC front, and historically our capacity has been close to 240 to 250,000 tons. So is there a thought process now to kind of expand capacities there, or kind of go backward integrated and do the EDC to VCM route for the capacity, which for 50% of the capacity, which is VCM to PVC? So just wanted to understand what are the broad thoughts on expanding on this front.
On the pipes and fittings business, we have already told you that present capacity we have is sufficient enough for the next 2 to 3 years. And this particular segment does not require too high time for setting up additional capacity. So as we see growth in that segment, and we feel that there is a limitation coming in servicing the market, we will definitely get into it. And then we will decide where to do it, whether it is in the west or whether it is in the north or south or east, or whatever, depending on the size of the demand in that particular region. So that is definitely on the anvil, it will come. About the resin capacity, last time also we said that we are still not able to get any kind of assurance on the feedstock business. The feedstocks, particularly ethylene-based feedstocks, are not easily available, and there is no surety of those feedstocks over a longer period of 10 to 15 years, where there could be a contracted feedstocks availability, and that is where it is still under hold.
Okay, fine. So basically, all programs on basically building out all-weather port, or maybe the VCM to EDC to VCM, or any incremental capacity, all those things are kind of on hold. We won't be doing anything.
Even if we make all-weather port, we should get the assurance on the feedstocks,
Sure.
Otherwise, the present operation doesn't call for any other investment on the all-weather port at present.
That's fair. That's all from my side. Thank you so much, and wish you all best of luck.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahul Agrawal from InCred Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations for a great set of results. Some of the questions partially got answered. I just want to clarify. On the capacity, you said it's about 370,000 tons for pipes, and so that 28,000 tons of fittings is included in that. Is that correct?
No, sir. Fittings is separate.
And is that in-house or is it outsourced capacity?
30,000 tons of fittings, yes.
And that 30,000 is outsourced or in-house capacity?
370,000, yeah.
Yeah. Is that 28,000 tons of fittings outsourced or in-house capacity?
It is outsourced, yes.
Okay.
We have long-term contracts with our subcontractors, so we are doing it.
Okay. And CPVC is about 20,000 tons, right, in terms of capacity?
You are talking of West or you are talking of CPVC?
CPVC.
CPVC is part of this 370,000 tons.
Yeah, I got that. What I wanted to know was CPVC capacity was 20,000 tons, right?
Yes, around 20,000, yes.
Okay, got it. So March 22, essentially the way you have described the capex plan of 100 crores is going to be largely replacement, and there is no capacity increase in March 22 at least. Is that correct?
No, if that is required, we can go through, but right now 100 crores is only for those replacement and some marginal assets, not for capacity expansion.
Okay, got it. And sir, inventory gains, so it's very tough to understand margins on the resin side. Some ballpark number could you help for fiscal 21, as in what could be the range at least?
No, it is difficult. It's not possible.
It's not possible. Okay, got it. And just one small question on PVC resin captive consumption. So generally the ratio has been about 70-75% of whatever you produce is used captively. Is it practically possible for this number to go to 100%, or yes, based on input-output ratio, it will never actually happen?
No. Of course it is possible. So the preference will be our own plants. So obviously as the plants start producing more, we will consume more in-house PVC.
So going forward, as pipe capacity utilization goes up, obviously we should assume that the resin captive utilization goes up, right?
Yes, it will.
Okay. And lastly on dividends, so obviously it's a record cash flow year for the company. You've announced special incentives for employees. Dividend payouts, though, including special dividend, is 34%, which is lower than the historic average. Any specific reason for that? I would imagine the payouts have to be higher than that, right?
No, payouts don't have to be higher. In our case, if you see, this 34% also is high. I don't think all the companies have such a high payout ratio.
No, that's true. I'm talking about Finolex on a standalone basis. Generally, you pay about 40-50%, as you said.
Yes.
So in this year, I was expecting maybe as a special incentive, you would actually pay higher. So any reason for the payout to be lower?
The board discussed and decided on this.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. All the best, sir. Thank you so much for answering.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Utkarsh from Haitong Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, sir. Sir, I have few questions. First, regarding the sales volume. So if we see our sales volume growth in FY21, it is around 20% down compared to what we have done in FY19, which is primarily due to weak agri pipe demand. So, sir, just wanted to know from you, even if PVC resin prices remains high in near future, do you expect agri pipe demand to come back strongly from December quarter onwards if pandemic issues largely get resolved by that time period?
I think yes. I think there are two reasons which we gave is one is the price, other one is pandemic, and the demand is there. The agri section, because irrigation pipes are required. India is still not irrigated fully, so there is a demand for irrigation anyway. Agri demand has to come. It's only a time.
Okay. Sir, so like despite a weak demand environment in the current June quarter period, do you think that there is a possibility of clocking similar sales volume for pipe segment in FY22 on expectation of pent-up demand for agri pipe coming up in the coming quarters?
I think we will definitely, last year because of pandemic and the quarter one loss, we have a contraction of about 16.8% on the total volumes, agri plus non-agri. Non-agri is slowly picking up for us and it is growing better than non-agri. Yes, it's better than agri. Now, agri demand, if it is coming back in Q3, Q4, I think our next target should be that we go back to the number of 2019.
Okay. And sir, can you please help me out with one data point that what is our agri and non-agri pipe sales volume growth rate in FY21 over FY20?
FY21.
Yeah, I don't think we have those numbers right now.
I'll give you a number. Agri is -21 and non-agri is still -4.5%.
Okay. And sir, regarding capital allocation
because of Q1 drop,
Yes, sir.
So non-agri has done better in the further quarters, but the Q1 drop has not been fully compensated, and so non-agri also has -4.5%.
Okay. And sir, regarding our capital allocation policy, we have a pretty limited capex outlay of 100 crore at the moment for FY22. And we have a net cash position of 825 crore. Plus, historically, we have been generating cash flow from operation of around 400 to 500 crore annually in the past. So, wanted to know, do we have any plan for buyback of shares in the future, considering the large cash balance we are having and a limited capex program in the near future?
See, one thing is sure, we will not continue to keep large cash on our balance sheet. So we will look for investment opportunities in projects, and if that doesn't come through, obviously money has to go back to shareholders.
Okay. And sir, lastly, how many SKUs do we have currently for pipes and fittings as of March end?
It's 2,100 plus.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Mr. Ritesh Shah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. So my first question is, how should one look at a scenario wherein the PVC resin prices are going down? The inventory days have reduced on a year-on-year basis, but it's still higher as compared to last couple of years. How should one look at it? If you can break it up between raw material and finished goods, that would be quite useful.
See, obviously, in these times, it is a finished good inventory which has accumulated. Raw material inventory anyway, for our imports, we need to have 2 months inventory always. So once the things normalize, the finished good inventory should come down.
Sure. Sir, would it be possible for you to qualify how much is the average cost of raw material inventory that we have for EDC, ethylene and VCM?
No. See, as I said, the 2 months inventory we always have for these items.
Okay.
So that will continue to be there. Obviously, in value terms, it depends on the prices of these inputs.
Question is on the employee cost. We understand that there was a variable component, which is a great thing. 2 questions over here. One is what is the normalized employee cost going forward? That is one. Secondly, we have earlier spoken about bringing in a variable component linked to sales for the marketing and sales people. Has it something which has changed as a policy, as a management move over, say, last 1 year or something?
See, in Q4, the numbers you see are one-time costs, but on variable pay front, we are working within the company.
Okay. Okay. And sir, on new product launches, we have seen our peers that actually get into newer variables like tanks, valves, etc., etc. Just wanted to understand the company's thought process, given we have such a solid brand and distribution. We are getting into non-agri aggressively. But how should one look at the new product launches to optimize on the current brand and distribution that the company has?
So we have been looking at these opportunities. Right now, there's nothing which can be mentioned right now. But yes, with the passage of time, we would see that some products we do enter into, new lines.
Okay. And so lastly, just to reconfirm on working capital, have we changed our working capital policy on agri pipes, probably for a small tenure or something wherein we moved away from cash and carry? And specifically for CPVC, how much is the credit that we give in the marketplace right now?
Normally, credit in these is given on 45 to 60 days. But an agri, we continue to do on cash and carry basis.
And it hasn't changed. It continues to remain cash and carry, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
See, in some difficult times like this, we may allow some credit, but as a policy, we are continuing with cash and carry in agri.
Okay. So, sir, the working capital numbers that we are looking at on March end basis, does it capture an element of some credit on the agri side, which will actually normalize going forward?
Yes.
Okay, that helps, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Neeraj, you can take the question too, please.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Siddhant Dan.
Ritesh, you need to dial Mr. Math again. I think he seems to have been locked out.
He is connected, sir.
Yeah.
The next question is from the line of Mr. Siddhant from Goodwill Warehousing. Please go ahead.
Hi. My question was regarding that, we are a pan-India player and we want to expand more, but our production is, stuck in the west of India. So will freight costs and rising fuel costs affect our competitive advantage, because our competition has, plants all across India?
I think the freight cost definitely affects to some extent. But what we have said last time also, that unless there is a critical mass for a particular region, we will not be taking up the investments and setting up a unit there. More or less east and north are the areas. North we are supplying through our Masar plant, that is Baroda. The only question is about the east.
East, okay. Okay, so if there is a scale, then only it will make sense. Okay.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vipul Shah from Sumangal Investments. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you and congratulations for a great set of numbers. Prakash, sir, generally comes for this March ending quarter call, but I think due to some pre-engagement, he may not have come. my question is, what is our capacity for CPVC pipe currently, and are we going to add any capacity in this particular segment?
I think our CPVC is made in the same facilities. There is nothing like a separate capacity for CPVC and UPVC.
They are fungible?
We can switch from one to another anytime.
Okay, sir. So last year it was around 20,000 tons, if I remember. Right?
These are notional numbers. As I said, the switching is easily possible from one product to another product. So depending on which product is having a demand, in that sense, we can order our facilities.
And sir, lastly, what is the pricing discount of our CPVC products versus more established peers in percentage terms?
So sorry to interrupt you, but we are losing your audio.
Hello? Hello?
Mr. Wabi? So sorry, we are not able to hear you. Participants, please stay connected while we rejoin Mr. Wabi back to the call. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay connected while we rejoin Mr. Wabi back to the call. Participants, we have line for Mr. Wabi reconnected, so you may go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I was just asking, what is our discount in CPVC products as compared to our established peers? Hello? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Wabi, can you hear us?
I don't think he is there.
Sir, the line for Mr. Wabi got disconnected once again.
Nirav, is Mr. Mad there on the call?
Yes.
I think that question Mr. Wabi will answer. You have any other question?
No, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you. We have Wabi sir reconnected back to the call, sir.
Yeah. Hello?
Vipul Shah, may I request you to repeat your question once again, please?
Yes, sir. So I just wanted to know what is the price discount in CPVC segment versus our established players in terms of percentage.
No. There is no special discount. The supplies are made at the ruling market prices. So I don't think there is any discount to the price in the market. And we decide our own prices.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mr. Arun Ved from BOB Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
So just one clarification. You said that we want to target FY19 volumes in FY22. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, something like that.
So,
because last year was a contraction, minus 16.8%.
Right, sir.
That cannot be a baseline. We will definitely grow beyond that, but at least we should grow to the level that we recover back. I think if you see globally also, or even in India, the demand has contracted.
Mr. Ahmad, sorry to interrupt you. We are
2 million tons of PVC to about 2.6 million tons in 2020. 2021, it is...
Sorry to interrupt you, Sanjay sir. Your audio is not coming so clear.
Okay. There is a demand contraction last year.
Participants, please stay connected while we rejoin Sanjay sir back to the call. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay connected while we rejoin Mr. Sanjay back to the call.
While he is getting connected, I'm Anil Wabi here. See, we did about 263,000 tons in FY19.
Right.
So what he's trying to say is, at least we would try to cross that number.
In FY22 itself, right?
Yeah. But with the current situation.
Yes, sir. Because Q1 we know is bad. That's why I just want to clarify that point. Despite that, we are saying that, right, sir?
We are trying to target that, yes.
So
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. We have Mr. Mark connected back to the call.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can I talk now? Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
I think last year was a different year, because of the Q1 we lost the business, and that is why the overall year contraction was about 16% or 16.5%. So recovering back to the level of 19 is what is the first target that we are really looking at.
And so that is despite that bad Q1. I'm just asking that because Q1 we know is bad, right? So despite that, we are targeting. That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
And
Q1
second, just one.
Q1 is bad.
Yeah.
But it is not as bad as last year. I think we will be a little bit better than last.
Right. And sir, just one more clarification was that Anil sir somewhere mentioned that 15,000 rupees per metric ton is what we should look at on a normalized basis in PVC resin business. So that 15,000 number, as even earlier participant asked, historically has been lower. So that number we are sure, when things normalize. As of today, it may be different, but we are pretty sure of that number, right?
No. I never said we can look at that number or we are sure about that number. I mentioned historically, if you see past few years, that has been the average.
Yes. Yeah, right, sir.
So, but even when the things normalize, I'm not sure whether we can do that number. In case of PVC, nothing can be said.
Okay. Great, sir. I understand. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mr. Ankit Gupta from Bamboo Capital Partners. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, just wanted to check with you any specific geographies which are facing challenging on the PVC pipe. Any specific geographies on agri pipe front which is facing challenge?
I think we are very strong on south and west. All these 5 states, as I said, Andhra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Maharashtra. All 5 states are under pandemic and there are very stringent lockdown conditions. We are losing business on agri in these 5 states.
Sure. And sir, on overall, annual basis, let's say if there is no further disruption on the COVID side going forward for the rest of the 9 months, do you think we can come back to FY20 levels FY20 levels again on the pipe and fitting segment?
I think we hope that this pandemic will be over and there is no great third wave what we talk about. If there is a third wave, I don't know how it will go ahead. So these are the things that are unknowns. We should not be predicting something which we have no control on. But if there is no third wave and the pandemic is receding as we see now, from 4 lakh cases to about 60,000 or below 60,000 cases now.
Mm-hmm.
So if that continues, then the market is also will getting open more and more. We see that the normal condition will prevail. And those people who have not done whatever in the last 1 year possibly will come back to the market.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mr. Aditya from Axis Capital Limited. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the follow-up opportunity. I just have 2 small questions, sir. First is if you can help us understand within our pipes segment, what would be the normalized EBITDA or margin for our agri and non-agri business?
Aditya, I don't think we have those numbers, but normally from an average of 10-11 rupees, agri does little lower and non-agri, obviously because of higher volume of fittings, is always better. And even in terms of prices, the prices are a little higher in non-agri.
Sure, sir. Would it be fair to assume that there could be a 4 or 5 rupee delta between an agri and a non-agri?
Again, it depends. CPVC commands higher prices.
Absolutely.
So within non-agri also, each category has different prices. ASTM is better than SWR.
Okay. Understood, sir. That's helpful. Second, and this is more strategic in question. Just wanted to understand, sir, what will it take for us to sort of transition to a business where we have 50% agri and 50% non-agri? To understand what is it that we will have to do differently to improve our share of non-agri?
No, we have to continue doing what we are doing. So slowly, with the passage of time, it will happen in some years.
Okay, sir. Understood. Thank you and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mr. Rajesh Sarvi from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Just one follow-up question. How much you are raising demand for the pipes? Are we procuring from outside or is it totally captive?
Resin is always captive.
Okay, always captive. And so the pricing trend for your resins, would that be indicative of the overall PVC prices in India? I'm just wanting to understand that the imported resin prices would be in sync with your realizations?
Yes, you are talking about the transfer pricing within the segment?
No. Yeah. From an industry perspective, the realization which you are generating in the resin segment,
yes,
would that be indicative of the market price?
Yes, of course, always.
Okay. Great, sir. That was all from my end. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mr. Karan B from Finolex Industries. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. This is Karan from Asian Market Securities. Two questions from my end. Sir, how is the dealer inventory given the fact that we are expecting still some southward movement in the PVC prices? And second, we keep hearing of market consolidation playing out in the plastic piping industry. So are we at peak, or we can still see some market share gains for the top 5-10 players? Thank you.
See, normally dealers don't stock large inventory, so they basically source pipes only when they have visibility of business. So I don't think any of the dealers have more than 8 days stocks with them.
Okay.
And as far as consolidation is concerned, yes, in these times unorganized market is getting affected. So slowly there will be a shift from unorganized to organized.
Okay. Right. And just that we are very aggressive on the CPVC portfolio, how is our SKU strength? You mentioned 2,100 SKU is total for piping. So how much can be assumed for the CPVC?
More than 300.
375.
Okay. Thank you. That's it from mine.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mr. Pratik Bhatnagar from HSBC Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks a lot for taking my question. I just have one. Most of my questions got answered. So the question is on like we said, there have been shipping and trade disruptions globally. There have been unavailability of containers, tankers. So how it has impacted Finolex? Was there an issue where Finolex had faced any issue in importing ethylene, VCM, EDC? Have they faced any issues in terms of procurement? Have the freight costs for them gone up? Or have there been any force measures on the import of ethylene EDC?
I think we are under long-term contracts with all our suppliers for the raw materials. So ethylene, VCM, EDC are long-term contracts, and they go by the formula of IHS declared prices. So these are all CFR India prices that prevail, and there is no difference that happens on this. There has been no disruption for particularly our raw materials. Possibly there is somewhere the pricing correction that happens is as PVC prices go up, the prices of IHS also go up. So this is again a formula based, so it is not that we have any kind of disruption on that side, either pricing or supply chain or in terms of logistics. To some extent, there is a setback on some additives and some imported small chemicals, which are possibly under short supply. But we have been covering with domestic as well as imported, and together we manage it.
Right. So in the past, we have seen force measures, for example, EDCs. So if something like this happens of Finolex, what do you do? How do you take care of it?
I think the EDC force measures have been very short term. There will be some of the things that we are going to see is the long-term shutdowns coming up with our suppliers. In that case, we are taking say proactive actions for getting supplies from other places. So there are many such alternate suppliers available beyond contract. So we have somewhere or the other the spot buying for such type of situations. So it is not that 100% we will be dependent on contract. Some spot buying will be there, and spot prices are sometimes better than contract prices.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot. These were the questions I had.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Mr. Ritesh Shah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. Just two questions. One is, sir, you indicated we have a percentage of our production which is via outsourced route. Is there a thought process within the group to make it in-house?
We always work out make and buy decisions. It is not necessary that this model will be permanent. It is also possible that we can think about some of these specialty items to make ourselves and general fitting portfolio to be given on outsourcing. It all depends upon that.
And what would be the sort of margins via the outsourcing route?
See, Ritesh, the margins do not differ much, so that is why the outsourcing continues. Okay,
fair enough. Okay, and sir, any update on the group structure simplification? Is it something which is a possibility? We hear it from the market that things are moving. Is there any update on that side?
No, Ritesh, I didn't get your question. Hello, Ritesh?
Yeah.
I didn't get your question.
Sir, the question is there anything progressing on the group structure simplification? I'm referring to the holdings which were
cross-holding?
Yes, sir.
Nothing right now.
Nothing right now. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for the answers.
Thank you.
Yep. I think we can close the call, Nirav. I would request Vabi sir and Mat sir for any closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. We are happy that you had the right questions to ask us and we have been able to give you the right answers. I think you are satisfied with those answers. We definitely value your relationship with us and we look forward that you continue to be with us and we look at your support in terms of investments. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Investec Capital Services India Private Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines.